Microsoft, the company that owns 49% of OpenAI, just shipped a competitor's model inside Office as a default, not a test. That one decision signals the end of an era, and everything this week flows around it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to MCP Weekly. I'm Omshri, and this week, Microsoft embedded Claude directly into Office and launched a new $99 enterprise tier. OpenAI turned security into a product with two major moves, and Meta buys an agent network, known security flaws included. 19 stories, let's move. This episode is brought to you by AgentCore. And if you want to go deeper into any topic we cover today, there is a blog where I publish the full written breakdown. Same signal, same details. Link in description. Microsoft launched Wave 3 of Copilot this week. The centerpiece, Copilot Cowork, doesn't draft, it executes, reschedules your calendar, build your research deck, and coordinate launch across Outlook, Team, and Excel. And it runs on Anthropic's Claude. The platforms now auto-routes tasks to whichever model performs best, Claude or Microsoft own. Single model loyalty is dead now. All of it bundles into Microsoft 365 E7 tier at $99 per user per month, launching May 1st, with Agent 365 as the governance layer for every AI agent in your organization. What it means? Claude just shipped to 1 billion Office users. The AI model race is now a performance race, not a brand race. OpenAI launched Codex Security, an agentic tool that builds a custom threat model for your actual codebase, test findings in a sandbox, and filter real tasks from noise. It's currently in private beta, 50% fewer false positives, 90% reduction in over-reported severity. It processed 1.2 million commit and found critical CVEs in Chromium, PHP, and OpenSSH. 1 month free for Pro, Enterprise, Business, and Education users. What it means? App security teams down in false alarm, Codex security attacks that bottleneck directly. Same week, OpenAI acquired Promptfoo, the LLM red learning toolkit already used by over 25% of Fortune 500 companies. It goes directly into Frontier. The open source version stays alive. Security isn't a bolt-on anymore, it's a core platform feature. What it means, if you are evaluating enterprise AI risk, you no longer need to stitch your own tools together. It's built in. Jailbreakers aren't a prompt problem, they are an architecture problem. OpenAI pushes IH Challenge, a training dataset that hard codes a chain of commands. System override developers, developers override users, and user override tools. Full stop. GPT-5 Mini-R trained on this saw 12% improvement on system user conflicts and a 15% gain on tensor trust. Dataset is public. What it means? The first training level defense against prompt injections, and they open sourced it. The Response API now include a real computer, hosted Unix cell, container file system, run Node.js, Go, and curl, whatever the task needs. Native compaction keeps agents coherent across long session. What it means? OpenAI just solved the last mile problem for agentic deployment. The infrastructure is now inside an API. You cannot reliably detect a lie written in natural language. OpenAI's new approach stopped trying to filter every bad instruction. Instead, make sure that the agent can't act on them. Safe URL blocks unauthorized data transmission to external endpoints. Source syncs analyze tracks where the untrusted data enters and where dangerous output exits. What it means? Containment beats filtering. Even the tricked agents can't silently leak your data. ChatGPT now ships interactive maths and science simulation. Drag a slider and watch the ideal gas law update in real time. 70 plus topics at launch. Ohm's law, trigonometric identities, exponential decay. All tier including free. 140 million people already use ChatGPT weekly for STEM. The lab just moved into the chat window. What it means? Every edtech platform just got a free competitor with 140 million existing users. Agent 365 deserves its own beat. It's Microsoft's dedicated control plane for growing AI agents inside Admin Center and Defender. When your organization runs over dozens of agents, you need to see what they are doing. Audit trail, observability, and a kill switch. Agent 365 is that layer. MCP apps and the apps SDK also let the third-party tool like Adobe, Figma, and Monday.com surface directly as Copilot agents. What this means: Microsoft is building the operating system for Enterprise AI, not just apps. Meta bought Moltbook, the agent-to-agent social network where AI models talk across Slack and iMessages using the OpenClaw wrapper. The founders are now inside Super Intelligent Lab. Pre-acquisition, security research found Moltbook's credentials were exposed publicly. Anyone could impersonate any agent on the platform. Meta bought it anyways. What does this mean? Meta wants the pattern of agent-to-agent communication at scale. The security holes tell you that it's now urgent. NVIDIA released Nemotron 3 Super. 120 billion parameters, but only 12 billion active during interface. Hybrid Mamba transforms architecture. 1 million token context window. 5 times the throughput of the previous versions on Blackwell. Open rate, open training receipt. This is built to be your agent fleet backbone, not your most expensive frontier core. What does that mean? Multi-agent AI just got economically viable. The worker agents layer now exists. Anthropic launched Claude Code Review, multi-agent peer analysis for team and enterprise plan. A coordinated agent team hunts bugs in parallel, verifies finding, and rank by severity. Substantial peer comments jumped from 16% to 54%. Human agreement rate over 99%. Cost just $15 to $25 per review. GitHub apps, no manual setup. What does that mean? AI is generating 200% more code. Claude Code Review is how you keep up with it. Anthropic launched the Anthropic Institute, a dedicated research body under co-founder Jack Clark, studying recursively self-improvement, labor displacement, and AI governance. ADC office opens spring 2026. Experts from DeepMind, Yale Law, and UVA on staff. They put a timeline on it. Dramatic progress within 24 months. That's not a hedge. What does that mean? Anthropic is building the governance framework before it's even needed, because they believe it will be needed soon. 2 Anthropic products drop in one chapter. First, Claude now generates interactive charts and diagrams directly into chat. Real-time, all tiers. Second, Excel and PowerPoint integration now shares context across multiple sessions. Open file in one session and they will be available in the next session. New skills save workflow as one-click automation. Financial analysis plugins includes DCF and LBO templates. What does that mean? Claude is becoming a cross-functional working layer, not just a chat window. Anthropic drops $100 million in partner network for 2026. Management consultancies and AI agencies get training, sales enablement, co-marketing, and direct access to Anthropic's engineers on live customer deal. Claude is also the only frontier model natively available on AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure simultaneously. What does that mean? The bottleneck for AI adoption is no longer the model, it's the implementation, and Anthropic is funding the solution. Google shipped Gemini CLI version 0.33.1 with 3 MCP relevant updates. Agent-to-agent authentication now requires a full HTTP authentication, closing a major security gap. Plan mode upgraded to an execution engine with built-in background research subagents. And large MCP tool outputs are now auto-truncated to prevent context overflow. What does that mean? Google is quietly hardening the MCP developer experience while everyone is watching the flashier launches. JetBrains launches Air, an agentic development environment built around the agentic workflow, not the developer's ID. Run Codex, Claude, Gemini, and Juni concurrently on the same project. Each agent gets a Docker container on isolated Git worktree. Unverified code never touches the mainstream, built on the agent client protocol. What does that mean? This is a professional cockpit for agent-driven development, not an experiment, a pipeline. AWS updates Bedrock AgentCore with stateful MCP support. Agents can now elicit missing information mid-task instead of falling silently. Real-time progress notifications. Client-side sampling for LLM-generated content during tool execution. Each session run in an isolated micro-virtual machine across 14 global regions. What does that mean? Stateless agents guess, stateful agents ask. This is what makes agentic AI safe enough for healthcare and finance. Datadog MCP Server hits general availability, feeding live metrics, logs, and traces directly into agents like Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, and GitHub Copilot. An agent can now verify whether it improved the production performance without switching tools. All access stays inside the existing security control. What does that mean? Agents had no nervous system for production. Now they do. Legora raised $550 million at an valuation of $5.55 billion. The plan tripled the US workforce on open Houston and Chicago offices and evolved the research tools to fully automate agent workflows for law firms. What does that mean? The legal sector, historically the last to move, just placed a $500 million bet on agentic AI. Zoom launched Enterprise Agentic AI 3.0, custom no-code agent that takes actions in Salesforce and ServiceNow based on what has happened in the meeting. AI native canvas turned conversations into documents and slide natively. 10 new enterprise search connectors and real-time deepfake detection during live call. Alert fires the moment synthetic audio or video is detected. What does that mean? Zoom isn't a meeting tool anymore. It's enterprise execution middleware with a threat model that now includes synthetic reality. 19 stories and the thread running through all of them. The era of trusting a single AI model from a single vendor running oversight is finished. Microsoft proved it by choosing Claude. AWS proved it by making agents ask instead of guess. Meta proved it by buying a platform which knows security holes because the architecture mattered more than the product. Drop in a comment which one of these was the most relevant to what you are actually building right now. The Microsoft Cloud integration, the AWS stateful MCP, or the Datadog MCP Server. I read every single one. And if you want to read the full written breakdown for everything we just covered, it's live on Gentoro's blog. Same story, same depth. Link is in the description. See you next Monday. Bye.